They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
In the jewelry business, there is no substitute for experience. David Adamson has over 46 years of experience, 32 of those in Lynn Haven. Designing and creating fine jewelry is more than a job for David, it's a joy. If you're looking for a spectacular jewelry design that says you, or perhaps you need your jewelry repaired, look no further than David Adamson Designer Jewelry. All work is done in-house and always to your complete satisfaction. Stop in today at David Adamson Designer Jewelry, 830 Ohio Avenue in Lynn Haven. They're on Facebook and at pcjeweler.com.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
Paid for by Steel Man Pills. 800-261-7365. 800-261-7365. 800-261-7365. That's 800-261-7365.
Ready to save big on the #1 selling car brand in the world? We've extended our best deals of the year throughout the month of April. Get 2.99% APR plus 90 days until you make your first payment on a new Camry. Get 2.99% on the sporty Corolla. Ready for 2.99% on a new RAV4? And get 2.99% on the tough Tundra. Wherever life leads, there's a Toyota for you. Right here at Panama City Toyota.
Offer expires April 30th. For details, visit PanamaCityToyota.com.
WPLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Lynn Haven. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Get ready.
Let's play the game.
Sports Talk Radio will never be the same.
I just don't think that anybody's going to succeed in that system.
It's a bad organization.
It's just a bad organization.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Onion pickles, onions pickles.
Live and local.
Look, it's impressive.
On ESPN.
Northwest Florida.
What's up, brothers and sisters? You guys are now riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. You're in the doghouse of ESPN Northwest Florida. 104.3 right here in Panama City and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. We are going to be playing the race to Talladega today at 5:15. You can win 2 passes to the Geico 500. That's going to be Saturday and Sunday, April 20th and the 21st. You can listen to Coach Hale Show mornings at 7:15 and 8:15 in the morning. They're going to give you the code word of the day. Caveman Rick, off the top of your head or off that sheet over there, can you tell me what the code word of the day is?
Let me see.
No, it's not going to be on that sheet or else I'd be able to get to it. It'll be, on that one.
Let me see right here. Shake.
Shake. All right, a little shake and bake there. So text that word right now, 850-215-6290. We'll give you guys another opportunity to text in and play along with us. Normally, you have to hear that at 7:15 and 8:15 in the morning. When you hear it, text that code word and your racing name to 850-215-6290. Then you listen back at 12:15 with the Inside Drive and 5:15 with the Afternoon Underdog. Speaking of the Inside Drive and Ryan Mulvey, he just texted texted in or commented on Facebook with a good old Jim Nance, as he says on the Afternoon Delight debrief every day, that you can hear that show at 12 p.m. right here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Ryan hits us with a hello, friends. You excited about the Masters? Max Delighten in the building with us on a Tuesday.
Great to be here on time, too.
I know, man. I was like,
I waited for Tyler on Thomas Drive. He went past me.
Oh, man.
I stopped to get gas.
No way?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't notice. I was
You're in the zone.
I was in the zone. I was actually eating a sandwich on my way over here. I hadn't really eaten today, so I was trying to get a little fuel in the belly to be on my top tip shape over here.
Were you eating the Lord's chicken?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely, man. You guys, again, listening to ESPN Northwest Florida, you can text us at 850-215-6290. You also don't want to forget about the Blast at Bay Point. You can play the Masters Fantasy Challenge to win a foursome at the beautiful Bay Point Golf Club in Panama City Beach, plus accommodations at the Hampton Inn on Thomas Drive. It's free to play. You just sign up at espnpc.com, and you can invite your golfing buddies to play along with us. Keep listening to win amazing prizes from your official station for fun and games on the Gulf Coast, ESPN Northwest Florida. The Braves lost to the Mets last night. The score was 8-7. Marcell Ozuna with a homer. That is his fifth on the year. He's tied for the league lead with Mookie Betts and Max's guy, Tyler O'Neill.
Passed him now today. He hit a homer today.
Oh, Tyler hit a home run already?
It's the only run for the Red Sox today. They're about to lose to the Orioles. It's 5-1.
Oh, man.
Tyler O'Neill.
All right.
Man, can you imagine that St. Louis outfield? Adolis Garcia, Randy Arozarena, and Tyler O'Neill.
And having Jordan Walker there just to kind of platoon.
Too bad.
So
Poverty
sad.
franchise.
Poverty franchise. Okay, he is on a roll, ladies and gentlemen. We might as well just go ahead and let him out of the kennel. Charlie Morton walked 5 batters last night, gave up 5 hits and 4 runs in 5 2/3 innings, showing his age and not at a good time with the news breaking on Spencer Strider over the weekend with the UCL damage, waiting on another MRI to find out if he's going to have Tommy John surgery. That would be the second Tommy John surgery of his career. Where do the Braves go from here? Do you go for a guy like Trevor Bauer? Do you see how you balance out during this time without Spencer Strider? Do you just go ahead and call up Hurst and Waldrop? What do the Braves do?
I'll do both.
Do both?
Yeah.
Just see how it goes and call up Hurston?
Yeah. Or you give 43-year-old Rich Hill a call. He doesn't get Tommy John. Can't get Tommy John when you're throwing 80.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think slider.
What's the man? I was reading somewhere, or Ryan said it on the Inside Drive. Once you get to where you're throwing about 85 miles an hour, that's when you start putting that real pressure on the tendon there in your UCL. So
yeah, it's just the more you spin the ball. Like the more curve you put on it at that speed too. It's the mix of those.
Is that stuff that you're wanting to dive into in your minute with Max?
Oh, a little bit.
All right, then that's what we'll be talking about.
Make sure MLB in general.
The MLB in general.
Can't get out of their way.
Tonight, yeah, man. We'll talk more about some of your thoughts there because you said you've got a lot to talk about, and we want to let you loose. Adrian Hauser going for the Mets tonight versus Reynaldo Lopez getting his second start for the Atlanta Braves tonight. 6:20 first pitch right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Coverage starts right after the Afternoon Underdogs at 6 p.m. Marcell Ozuna, though, 5 home runs, but an average of 325 right now, which is a far cry from how he started out last year. Man, I think a month and a half into the season, he was under 2. He was under the Mendoza line. Yeah, they were going to start a new line just for him. High school baseball, we'll get into these local scores, and then we'll talk about the Final Four, the men's national championship from last night. Bozeman takes down Bluntstown in 5 innings. The score there was 10-0. Rocky Bayou Christian 5-4 win over Baker. Malone shellacks Graceville 20-3. Holmes beats Franklin by a touchdown 10-3. Cottondale falls to Slocum 13-3. Central shuts out Freeport 10-0, and Mariana with a shutout of their own over FSU 9-0. In high school softball, it was St. John Paul II taking down Bluntstown by 3. The score there was 4-1. Wakulla Christian all over Bay 18-4. Bethlehem and Poplar played played a heck of a game, 19-17. Bethlehem getting the win there. Man, that would have been exciting. Ponce de Leon shellacks Laurel Hill 24-0. Cottondale over Vernon 11-5. Wakulla shuts out Holmes by 4 runs, 4-0. Walton takes down Chipley 13-1. Graceville beats Malone 18-13. North Bay Haven takes down Bozeman 9-4, and then Bethlehem beats Poplar Springs 13-1. We had 2 Freeport cross-country athletes signing with Gulf Coast yesterday afternoon. You had LeMay Sullivan and Kylie Hickman. They're going to be a part of the first cross-country team at Gulf Coast. Both athletes were on the Freeport cross-country team for 3 years and were captains for 2 seasons during their 3 years. They led the program to the regional meet each year, and as seniors, they led the team to the first state meet appearance in school history. In the spring, Hickman competes on the Freeport track and field team, and Sullivan is on the Freeport softball team. And also, congratulations to Aaliyah Bartholomew. She earned NJCAA D1 women's basketball first team All-American honors. She finished her sophomore season with 15.2 points per game, shot 80.6, which was good for 35th in the nation from the free throw line. She had 5.8 rebounds per game. She made 83 pointers out of 228 attempts. She had 188 assists. That was good for 5th in the nation. 86 steals. That's good for 27th in the nation. And 42.2 points per 40 minutes. That was ranked 11th in the nation. She is going to be taking her talents to Middle Florida, to the University of Central Florida, to play there in Orlando. So we'll keep an eye on Aaliyah Bartholomew. And then also for Ismenme Ozzy Mamadou on earning NJCAA D1 women's basketball third team All-American honors. She did suffer an injury towards the end of the season and was unable to play in the last 11 games of the season. No doubt if she were playing, Gulf Coast would have possibly won the championship. That's a narrative for you. I think that they would have. She was one of the best players in the paint. No doubt. So ended up making third team. She finished her Gulf Coast career with 16.7 points per game, 73% field goal percentage, shot 41.1% from the free throw line. I don't know if I would. That's either got to be a typo or I don't know if I would have not included that in the press release.
Zach Edey at the free throw line.
Yeah, man. Oh, how about when he airballed last night? That's
funny.
Oh my goodness. Are you a fan of Zach Edey as a Purdue guy?
I mean,
I've got some thoughts on it. 11.6 rebounds per game, which ranked 15th, and she stole the ball 50 times. She is moving on to the Big Ten. Where do you think Ozzy Mamadou is going to be playing? She's replacing Caitlin Clark. She's going to Maryland.
She's going.
Close. Yeah,
pretty close.
If she didn't get hurt, do we think maybe she gets like second or first team? Because
first team.
Because when she like first team earlier in the season when we talked to her coach, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, easy money. She would have been first team. She would have been the best player in the paint, and it would have. You never know because we're playing what ifs here on a Tuesday, but you never know how far, what changes in that run for Gulf Coast in the national tournament. But she's going to be continuing on over there at Maryland.
What ifs on a Tuesday?
What ifs on a Tuesday, man? Normally we save those for Wednesdays, What If Wednesday? Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can like and share the Facebook feed. That would mean a lot to us and our page. Follow us over there on Twitter and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Download the app and register. You just go to your Google Play Store or your Apple Store, type in 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. And also, I think you can go to ESPNPC.com. We've got a little tab for Best of Bay voting, so you can go nominate Coach James Hale, Ryan Mulvey, and the Inside Drive, and then the Afternoon Underdogs for Best of Bay for radio personality. That would mean a lot to us. If you can only vote one way, I'm stuck between two of the hosts here. You got to be the Inside Drive, right? Coach Hale's always up there, so y'all go put your votes. If you're sitting there stuck between the three of us, everybody give your votes to Ryan Mulvey and the Inside Drive, man. Love that guy. Love that show so much.
The Afternoon Underdogs were fierce competitors. Y'all better vote for David Hayes.
I'm voting for the Underdogs, Joe.
Well, y'all do what y'all want to do, man, but all I know is if you're voting for Ryan Mulvey, I consider that a vote for the Afternoon Underdogs as well, So not like it's a vote for us, but if Ryan's getting the votes, I'm good with it, man. That is my guy. Also, former Gulf Coast women's basketball head coach Rooney Scoville was recognized during the NCAA Women's Basketball Final Four game. She and other members of the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame class of 2024 were recognized after the first quarter of the South Carolina versus North Carolina State women's basketball game that was held on Friday night. Scoville was the head coach of the Lady Commodores for 22 seasons, officially retiring in 2020. She was the head coach for the Lady Commodores from 1996 to 2012 and rejoined the program from 2014 to 2020. She won 6 NJCAA Division I Women's Basketball National Championships in 2003, 2008, 2010, 2016, 2017, 2019. Also 18 Panhandle Conference Championships, 13 Region Championships, 6 NJCAA National Coach of the Year honors, and had a record of 646 and 91. Michigan Eddie, you are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. What's going on, my friend?
Go Blue Truck Series, we're going to play this back Tittle. Hey, brother.
Hey,
I
brother.
I got a big question for you.
All right.
All right, so little Eddie's got a PG tournament up in East Cobb this weekend. You know, with his Orlando team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Showcase Baseball Academy, right?
Perfect game.
Anyway, are the Braves playing at Truist Field this weekend? Are they?
I believe they. Oh, I believe they have the Mets, but I have it right here in front of me. So, I don't have it right here in front of me. Let's see here. So this weekend, dadgummit. Of course, it would just show
they're
me.
In Miami.
They're in Miami. They are not in Atlanta, Michigan, Eddie.
Come on!
I know. I'm sorry about that, man. I could have lied to you.
Gotta blame your kid's AAU coach.
Yeah. That's just.
It's not AAU. It's not basketball, bro. It's baseball. Baseball, PG and crap, dude. You know what I'm saying?
PG and crap.
Hey, up north they call it AAU. So I don't know.
Do y'all really call baseball?
I am from up north, and that's the first time I've heard anything baseball.
Must be a Chicago thing.
It's all basketball.
Must be different in Michigan.
Of course it's Chicago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Michigan.
Even though, actually, my cousin played for the Chicago Wolves.
Oh, that's actually sweet. I would love going to Wolves games.
Yeah, he played over in Rosemont, Horizon, whatever that arena is up there.
All-State Arena, baby.
Yeah, they did rename it, by the way. Yeah, he played at Michigan, and then he went down and played for the Columbus Crunch in the AHL, and then went to the Wolves for 4 or 5 years. Got hurt, bounced around, then went over to the Dell over in Europe, in Germany. Found his Frau over there, and now he's married, living in Colorado. Nice. Anyway, that's a quick skinny of my cousin, by the way. He went through a couple Frozen Fours at Michigan, and then his senior year got knocked out by my Air Force Academy. I guess Michigan outshot him like 40-something to 12. And, of course, you know, had a hot netminder at the Air Force Academy, and my alma mater knocked him out. So, anyway, that's just, hey, but who's in the Frozen Four? Big Dave, Super Dog? Who is it? Caveman Rick? Who is it?
I'll say Michigan's in the Frozen Four, and I'll say Boston's in the Frozen Four. I'll guess Harvard and
the University of Calgary.
North Dakota, Fighting Sioux, probably. I'd say something like maybe Minnesota.
You just keep on saying random things, Rick, and I'll find out for sure.
BC, maybe Boston College. They're usually kind of up there, you know.
Who is it?
The only one that matters is Michigan, pal. That's it.
That's
all that matters.
Eddie, that pass Michigan had against Michigan State is one of the nastiest hockey plays I've seen on the collegiate level.
I haven't seen it because I was little Eddie. We actually had football that weekend in Jacksonville when they beat Sparty for last weekend in the playoffs. But, you know, that's awesome. I knew it was going to happen because Sparty got lucky beating us 5-4 at Munn Arena for the Big Ten title. You know, the Big Ten is stupid. They had the championship game is played at the home rink, whatever. It should be at neutral site, maybe at Little Caesars Arena or something, or the United Center, maybe. Just throwing it out there for a friend. But I knew then we play them in the playoffs in the NCAA. We're gonna whoop that keister, and by golly, we did, bro. Little brother, man. Nothing's good about Eastland except the girls. That's it.
As a fellow, as a Hoosier alum, you're not wrong.
I mean, didn't they own Michigan for like 9 years in a row in football after Mike Hart made the comment?
Who? Michigan State?
Yeah.
No, not really.
Okay.
You could say the Buckeyes probably did, but the Sparty Pants did go on a little roll there, but they didn't own us with Mean D'Antonio, whatever, because he always used that as ammunition. Like, you got to really use ammunition. You shouldn't have to when you're playing your state. That is your rival game, because Sparty is so bad, only Michigan is a rival. Whereas Michigan, how many rivals do we have? We have the Buckeyes.
I mean, they
We
won
got
7
the
or
Days,
8.
and we got Sparty.
Michigan fans
Just
aren't
saying.
good fact people.
I got the Frozen Four here, though.
Yeah.
Who is it?
It's let's see, you got University of Boston, you got Boston College, you got Denver, you got Michigan.
Yeah, Boston College taking on Michigan, and Denver's taking on Boston University.
Yep, that's your 4.
Eddie, you got to look at that Michigan goal, though. Frank Nazar, I know he's a Blackhawks prospect. He went through the legs. It was an insane pass against Sparty.
Oh, yeah, Frank Nazar. Yeah, I saw that. And remember that Lamb goal against DC when we won the chip back in the 90s or early 2000s, where he went upper shelf, took it on and just wrapped it around? Check out that goal. It was against Colorado College, I think. Michigan is full of hockey highlights in the NCAA, and I hope we play Denver. I can't stand Denver from my Air Force Academy days when I went to Colorado Springs when the Air Force Academies played CU all the time. I hate Denver. Denver blows. Go ahead. I'm on a roll today, bro. I'm on a roll.
You are, man, but we're gonna roll off it here, man, because we've got about 2 minutes to our break. You got anything that you want to leave us with this afternoon? And also, good luck to Lil Eddie up there in his PG game.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Go with Truck Takers. We're going to start things back to 10. Hey, and we're cancer survivors, baby. Just saying, I'm out. Later.
Hey, we appreciate you, and way to fight Michigan, Eddie. That is great stuff, and that's great to hear as well. Gulf Coast baseball tonight, hosting Chipola at Frazier Field tonight at 5 p.m. And Gulf Coast softball traveling to Niceville for a doubleheader with Northwest Florida State at 4 and 6 p.m. Man, always a fun time talking with Michigan, Eddie. You think you can bring it, with your hostility, maybe. What do you got for Florida State fans today? Have you been thinking about this? Is this something burning on you?
No.
Do we have another T-shirt ready to be made?
I don't think about things that never affect me or will impact me.
Okay.
But, I was thinking they're like a kind of, because with the Coach Cal stuff, they're kind of like a watered-down Kentucky, like won one time like 12 years ago and then won a couple times in the 90s, but otherwise just kind of like annoying online.
Whoa. It wasn't very heavy, but I'm sure that to be compared to Kentucky, man, that's
that'd be high praise. But like Kentucky's like the Yankees for college basketball. Like won a ton like when no one played.
Yeah. And now
they made some Final Fours.
Who's closer to the Yankees though? UCLA or Kentucky?
Probably Kentucky, just because UCLA hasn't won in like 30 years.
Okay. All right.
And they haven't been really relevant this century. I mean, they made one Final Four or runner-up.
So they were like the Cubs until the Cubs won.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. The Cubs are... no, UCLA won. That's insulting UCLA.
Yeah, you're right about that. I was trying to find a way to work your teams in, but they just don't win enough.
Yeah, we don't. Only the Blackhawks.
2014 or was it 15 that y'all got
3 times.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying when you beat
the
Lightning.
Yeah, that was 2015.
That was a heck of a series, though, especially for the Chicago Blackhawks.
Went 6.
Yeah. Hey, you guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We got more coming up with Max. Florida State fans, he wants you to give him a call. 850-215-6290. Talk your Knowles with Max Delighten. We'll be right back after this.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Colin Cowherd. Something has happened with Anthony Davis over the last year and a half. When LeBron's out, he grabs that baton and he is dominating. They were down 19 late and came roaring back. I've got my issues with Milwaukee, but this game said a lot about the Lakers.
The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Weekdays, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. The rest of the day, partly cloudy and a temperature of 74 with wind 15 to 20 miles per hour out of the southeast. Mostly clouds tonight, a gentle breeze and quite warm near 67. Mostly cloudy and raining moderately and 76 tomorrow. 73 and very heavy rain and some sun with a strong breeze Thursday. Friday, sunshine and a temperature about the same at 71. This is your Tuesday's weather brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance.
Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
Paid for by Steel Man Pills. 800-261-7365. 800-261-7365. 800-261-7365. That's 800-261-7365.
He likes to lift weights in a parking lot and eat Weight Gainer 3000.
I'm really starting to feel out nasty.
David Hayes is part of the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back in the doghouse. You guys are riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Tyler Bishop and Max DeLyden. And we've also got Caveman Rick. I don't know which one. I'm turning my own down over here. We got a little technical difficulties. I wouldn't even say difficulties, just technical. Now you can't hear it all? Oh, okay. Well,
it's coming in and out the whole time.
How about whenever you talk, I'll start working on that, and then you can just give me a thumbs up at that point in time. But first, actually, I guess I got to get you fixed up here once we get the caller on the line. Tim, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. What do you got for old Max today?
Hey, man. Hey, Max, how you doing? It's Tim.
Hey, Tim, what's going on?
Not too much. Hey, guys, never called before. I listen to you guys' show a lot. I enjoy it. And I know Max, one of my friends, so I just figured I'd call and talk a little baseball. You guys were talking a bunch of hockey, and I mean, it's Panama City, Florida. The only kind of hockey we know down here is the type we used to play behind the high school gymnasium, a little console hockey. So get back to some baseball. So, yeah, how about Strasburg retiring and then Strider blowing out his arm? What do you guys think about all this? Bunch of changes. I'm wondering if some of this stuff has to do with the, the continuous pitch clock changes that keep going on.
I was going to say, Tim, why don't you give them your take on Ohtani, because that stuff is slowly getting swept under the rug now. And you had some pretty good points about it.
I've got a filthy narrative about that.
That is true. So, yeah, I read a bunch of articles on the Ohtani thing. If we want to talk about that, I'd have to, go back and look at some of the stuff. But I guess based off all the information I've read, that to some extent has been confirmed. And there was some stuff online, some people on Twitter that are kind of independent little sleuths looking at things, and were able to track a bunch of multi-million-dollar bets back to illegal bookies in, just so happens to be in Ohtani's hometown of Japan. And they were all on days when Ohtani was pitching, and most of them were on days when he had a notably bad day at the plate and on the mound. So, there was a lot of discussion about, was he not just doing stuff, was he throwing games, and just a lot of this and that. But I don't know. After everything I read, I would say that he was probably betting on different things, including maybe baseball or maybe not baseball, but betting on different things and using that guy as an intermediary. And then at some point, he probably got in trouble financially a little bit. And instead of just coughing up big money, he probably decided, well, I'll bet on some baseball, and I'll make sure it's a sure thing. I'll just take a little bit off my fastball or whatever and try to make some money back that way. But the stuff doesn't add up. There's definitely somebody lying, because their first comments when this stuff came out, when he was alerted that this was happening, was, oh, everything's fine. I was paying off some debts from my friend and everything. And then the next day it was, oh, I didn't know anything about it. I've been taken advantage of it. There's definitely a changing narrative on their side, and now it's all buried, which I don't think is a surprise. I mean, everything now is sponsored by, ESPN Bet and, DraftKings and all this stuff. So, and he's the face of the MLB right now. I mean, you got just an unbelievably dominant two-way player. They're not going to want this to come out, So, and I mean, if anything like what is being considered possibly to have happened actually did, I mean, it makes Pete Rose look like a saint, so they want this to go away. And I think there's probably something to it. My theory might be wrong, but I definitely don't think it's benign and much ado about nothing. So,
well, that's how theories can always be wrong. But one of the things that stands out to me the most is the changing of the story. Like you come out one way, and then the very next day that already flips. The other thing is, Ipe, is he just the interpreter who has a gambling problem, or is the interpreter who is becoming the scapegoat? Also, baseball's in a position right here where, yes, Shohei Ohtani is the face of baseball, but there is plenty of young stars right now in this game that could take over for the absence of Shohei Ohtani. I don't care if he bet on himself in baseball. I don't care whatever it was. If he was betting on baseball, he should not be involved with the game. I don't want to have the trade-off. I don't care about the trade-off of putting Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, but we're just going to forget about what Shohei Ohtani did. Like, no, not for I got the guy on my fantasy team. I've got a little mini bet with Max on who's going to have the better year out of Shohei Ohtani and Julio Rodriguez. But at the end of the day, if you were betting on the game of baseball, if you were throwing games, I wouldn't even let you play in the MPB, the KBO. If you were throwing games.
If you were trying to affect the outcome of games, especially on ones that you're actually trying to be financially incentivize yourself for, I mean, I don't know if that's criminal, but it ought to be.
It should absolutely be criminal. It is. It may not be criminal by law standards, but for baseball fans, especially the ones who don't bet, but maybe even more so the ones who do bet, that's a crime.
You're stealing from gamblers.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the one thing that I dislike about all of the sports gambling that we have. It's a fun thing. It's great for people who like to bet on sports. I think it's a fun conversation starter and a fun topic to bring up on the show. No doubt about that, but the fact that there's already been so many lines that have been blurred and crossed and back and forth, and then for the good players it gets swept up underneath the rug. For the bad players, it's oh well, look, we're going to have to deal with this. And then for Trevor Bauer to have a suspension of 324 games and nothing to really come out of the criminal side of that investigation, and still had to sit out for a large amount of that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, pretty much an entire year.
Yeah, and still is not on a team at this point in time, and pitched well. I think he's in the Mexican leagues right now.
Yeah, he's doing like these trial.
Yeah, so and they've got sweet jerseys, advertisements everywhere.
Like down.
Yeah, it does look
Powers,
like
baby.
Kenny Powers. Oh man, that's good. But yeah, Tim, I'm right there with you, man. And when it comes to the other conversations, we hit the Uno reverse on you. You called in with a question. We're like, nah, that's not how things go around here. We ask the questions. But no, to get back to Spencer Strider, man, I hate it for him. Now, I'll say this. If we're going to look at the silver linings, it couldn't have happened at a better time, outside of maybe in his very first start. But, at least with this point, you're not looking at an injury that's going to leak over into the next season. And there's also the chance, especially with the way that athletes are rehabbing these days, hey, maybe if he does have to have some sort of a surgery, he could be back in time for the playoffs, which I doubt it, and it's not very conducive because how often does it happen? You get that guy back, your coveted star back right before the playoffs, and then plug him in, and he's just a shell of the player that he actually is when healthy and in baseball form.
It's tough because there's not really...
I agree.
Oh, sorry, Tim.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going
to say I agree on that. I would say, though, that Strider just physically and seems to be just sort of like one of these freak, every once in a while type of athlete talents. And I'd say he's a guy that if anybody could rehab early and come back, not missing a beat, it could be him. I'm not even a Strider fan. I'm actually a Philly fan, so, he's a rival, but man, mad respect for that guy, and I'd say if anybody could come back quick, it'd probably be him. The guy's just special.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong, and it's tough because with all these elbow injuries, there really isn't any rhyme or reason or an answer. With all these guys throwing harder, the combo of that and putting the spin they do on the ball, all I know is similar to Morgan Wallen, the MLB can't get out of their own way. He's my guy, but I mean, similar to stuff like that.
That was an interesting transition. I know.
But have a seat. Yeah, but my brain's unique. The MLB Players Association, though, is probably the worst organization when it comes to resolving issues and figuring out problems, closely followed by the MLB itself. So I'm not to be pessimistic, but I really am not too optimistic as far as the MLB resolving this issue. I don't know if it's necessarily a pitch clock thing or as much of an emphasis on throwing harder and putting more spin on the ball, as well as a lack of mechanics. And maybe it's just from my days, but I feel like as far as pro sports go, baseball players are typically the least proactive about recovery and taking care of their bodies, in my opinion.
I thought you was about to say least athletic. I was going to say, Caveman, go ahead and turn that mic down, and we'll see Max exiting stage
That's golfers. Just kidding, Ryan. I'm kidding. But really, though, I do think there's been such a lack of emphasis on mechanics for pitchers, and the MLB doesn't take the proper metrics on it, and the emphasis to throw 100. I mean, it's become more and more common. Like when we were growing up, or even in the Nolan Ryan days, flamethrower, and now that's just a commonality. Like you got Mason Miller throwing 102, 103 every pitch, but he's been demoted to being a closer. You have guys like Jordan Hicks who always threw 102.
Yeah,
couldn't start because of that, but now he's starting, but he's throwing softer. So I don't know what the answer is, but I know it's not going to be resolved anytime soon by guys like Garrett Cole just complaining to complain. Garrett Cole's always vocal. He has the right to complain as the Cy Young too, and as dominant as he's been. But he's always kind of been known as a guy who gripes a lot too, and we're
still in the early goings of the pitch clock, so they're not going to be able to sit down and have a look at the numbers and be like, yes, overwhelmingly we're seeing more injuries, a higher rate of injuries to pitchers since we've introduced the pitch clock. And I don't think Manfred and them even want to take a look at those numbers. It's almost like it's totally different because we're talking brains and arms, but the NFL, I'm sure for a long time, didn't want to release the numbers dealing with TBIs and concussions and stuff. Yeah. Why? Because that's not a great look for the league that you run. And same way with baseball here, where you've got arms, which are very valuable to these organizations, and you don't want to be putting out numbers. It's like, yeah, this is not the most conducive thing for you to be doing with your arm, which could in turn discouraging young players from playing the game, which is your well. That keeps you going.
Yeah, that's a great point. And Justin Verlander, I know he's said his piece as well, but he's a guy who has been injured a lot in his career.
Yeah, with or without the pitch clock.
With or without the pitch clock, yeah. Especially as he gets up in his upper 30s now. So I don't buy too much into that.
But do you think that maybe, and Tim, feel free to chime in on this, do you think that moving the mound back is a feasible option to help? I mean, at the end of the day, they're still going for the same numbers, right? What's
going to throw just as hard?
Yeah, they're going to throw it at the same rate as far as the whip in their arm goes. I think about the only thing that you can do to really alleviate some of this pressure is having them throw underhanded. I'm not even being facetious.
And they're not,
no, exactly. I get your point, and I think it's valid, and it is basically, yeah, you could move the mound, you could do different things, but those guys are going to be throwing as hard as they can because every day there's 10 guys behind you trying to take your spot, So, and baseball is just unbelievably competitive, especially at the true pro level. So I don't think doing little tweaks and things like that's going to change how hard these guys are doing it. If they can throw it 100, they're going to try to throw it 100 and let the coach decide when they've had enough and, pull them out in the fourth or fifth or whatever inning it is. But those guys aren't going to want to take much off because they're worried about the next guy that's not going to. So I don't know if that's going to help. You're right. Probably the only thing you could do is make them throw underhanded and then it's a totally different game. But to the greater point about just things getting more competitive and more injury stuff as it comes out, people taking a different tack and considering, other sports or maybe not playing. I mean, I have a couple of kids and they're young, but my son's an incredible athlete, and the only thing we'll do football related is flag because I just don't want to get him down that road of, concussions or anything else. And he's a heck of a baseball player, but he primarily plays short, and I'll let him pitch a little bit. But I do not want his future to be a pitcher for these same reasons. You just blow your arm out so easily, so quickly, even when you're young. And now even the high school levels and in the competitive travel ball levels, you're seeing kids out there 11, 12. They're making them throw 100 pitches and then 2 days later come in and do it again. And those kids are throwing hard too. So
yeah,
the injury situation in all these different sports it's going to come to a head at some point, and you're going to see parents at a young age with young kids making alternate decisions about what they want their kids to do. So I don't know what's going to happen for the future, but something's going to have to change, or there'll be forced changes.
And that's why I'm such a big proponent of have your kid play as many different sports as possible. They're not using the same muscles over and over again. They're also getting other muscle groups involved into athletic activity or physical activity nonetheless. I mean, I was about to say something really stupid, and I just took myself back to like when I was a kid. But so what I was going to say is I think every kid on the team should have to pitch an inning or two. And then I was like, I would have not been down with that, playing shortstop or playing second base. Like, all right, come on now. Like, at least let's get one over the plate. But pitching is difficult, and it's also, they might not be throwing as hard, but they're still making that same motion, and to do that repeatedly for the sake of winning games, that end of the day, they don't matter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to say...
nobody's going pro at 12 years old.
Right,
you know?
Exactly.
So.
And that's when you really need to be learning the fundamentals of the game. And I think there's a lot of great coaches out here who do that. Michigan Eddie is texting in saying pitch smarter, not harder. I think that's a great text there from Michigan Eddie. And then also we had a text in. I'm not sure who this is from. I think his name is Brad. He says, if only there was a drug that helped recovery for pitchers and home runs for hitters. So maybe that's the answer to all of this, is bring steroids back, make baseball great again.
Start pumping some HGH in these kids. Some deer antler spray, you know.
There you go. There you go, man. A little spider tack as well. Just add that to the whole repertoire. But, Tim, thank you so much for the call, my friend. And call back anytime, man. We're always here from 4 to 6, Monday through Friday. And we appreciate the time, my man.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Go Phillies, Joe.
All right, I know we didn't
Go Phils.
Go Phils. Singing now, go Braves. I know we didn't get to Steven Strasburg part of the equation there. Do you have any thoughts on the retirement? I remember when he was coming up.
It just feels like he has been for years now.
Yeah,
like it's like a slow death.
He was a guy that I always rooted for to kind of make it. You know, and whenever he. Obviously, with him being a Nationals guy, I wasn't rooting for him to have great seasons. But then once he kind of faltered and started dealing with the injuries, it was like, man, I wish that his career would pan out, but it just never made the right turn.
I like the name that Tony Kornheiser has from him on PTI. He calls him the Orchid just because, I mean, the guy can pitch, but everything's got to be like in the right parameters. If everything's not right for the guy, it's just a disaster. But when everything's perfect, the guy is just in an immaculate picture, you know? Just like an orchid, it's got to have all the right conditions or it just dies and won't grow.
You learn something new every day, man.
Pretty good, though.
It's reminiscent of Mark Pryor, honestly.
Ooh, fair comp. I think I would rather have the Mark Pryor career trajectory, though.
Yeah, I guess. Either way, it's sad.
Hey, man, if you put your spikes into the dirt there at the major league level, I find that I don't care if it's single A level. That's still pretty impressive.
Awesome.
Other things that you want to get into before we start talking? Are you going to hang out with us for the next segment?
After this one.
All right. So I don't want to take all your time as we already have.
I'll give you the quick
rundown.
UConn Purdue. Purdue played the best out of anyone playing UConn. With respect to your Tide, no, don't give me that. No,
really?
It felt way closer with Purdue. They were yeah, it did.
Really?
Yeah, it did.
Anybody else chime in on that?
Oh yeah, the biased area.
I don't know.
Southeastern region. Please weigh in.
Okay, yeah. Well, there you go. There is that. I disagree with you on that though. I think Bama played them better than what Purdue did.
Either way, it's the classic. Like Dan Hurley makes such good second half adjustments. Like they lull you to thinking, you got a tight game, and then they just
pummel you.
Yeah,
they pummel you in the second half.
Then, they don't let go.
And they do not, and they're so fast defensively.
Yeah. And I don't want to get canceled, but no, I don't think the WNBA takes off with Caitlin Clark.
All right.
Is it a relative takeoff? I mean, you know what I'm saying? They're not going to match the NBA, but like
Caitlin Clark, maybe.
I think you'll see a spike in viewership, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think we'll probably see a dip in women's college hoops, though, because I think she brought the viewers.
Okay.
It's not a hot take necessarily, but they can't get out of their own way with cannibalizing their sport between Dawn Staley wanting dudes to play basketball on the women's side, the WNBA players going against Caitlin Clark being like, there's levels to this. It's like, no, she's the best.
Wait, Dawn Staley wants dudes to play on the girls'
She's cool with it, yeah.
Oh, like certain dudes.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, she's cool with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I know that the South Carolina girls play against dudes in practice, and they're called the highlighters.
Yeah. Like every college women's team does that too.
I did not know that. Didn't know that.
But and then also like, why would you not like lift someone up who's bringing all this attention to your sport? And there's like Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird had a ton of kind of Bush League comments about it, and it's like, you're just jealous you didn't have that traction when you were playing. I mean,
or what if it's one of those things to kind of go ahead and get the rivalry started there in the WNBA? Because does a rivalry bring more attention, especially when you're talking about guys watching something? Like, are you going to watch it more so if Diana Taurasi and Caitlin Clark are beefing, or if it's like, oh, can't wait to see this girl come up here and shoot threes?
I mean, it's the WNBA, not the WWE, so I don't know.
I mean, the thing is, if you're going to watch for Caitlin Clark, you don't really care if they like her or not, right? Like, that's like, you're watching to see her shoot threes.
And you can only, there's no way we can attack this one without getting political and, because Caitlin Clark's everything the WNBA is not across the board.
Okay. So is that going to be in our next hour with Max?
I mean, I don't know if Max will be canceled by the end of the hour. It's like the exact opposite of what the WNBA is, pretty much everything. Politics.
Right. What you got, Rick?
Michigan Eddie says that, it's all about Caitlin Clark, but, give her a lot of props, but also Dawn Staley's kind of a hypocrite because she's saying all the stuff about the women's basketball being all great and everything's got a lot to do with God, and then what she's saying about dudes playing the ball. So kind of talking out the side of your mouth, I guess is what he's saying.
Yeah.
Don't know what else.
Well, I'm
just a messenger, yo.
So I got just talking out of your mouth. That's all I heard from that. So I don't know if it.
Did you really? Did you really not hear what he said?
No, I swear I haven't been able for him.
Basically, he was saying that Coach Staley's being a little hypocritical because she's talking about glorifying God through the game, and then
the success of the girls, the women's game is a lot to do with it. It has to do with God.
And then on the flip side of that would be allowing. We're talking about transgenders, right? Is that
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just making sure, because I'm she really doesn't want dudes to come play in the league.
No,
that would not be good for South.
That's still a dude.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm not trying to I've actually got. You know what? I'm sorry that we're cutting so far into this segment, but on the flip side of all of that, this is actually having to do with a boxer. His name's Pat Manuel, a transgender, or actually transgender boxer who completed his transition from female to male. So it was a girl that turned into a boy that is boxing other boys.
That's cool.
What do you think the outcome of the bout was?
I don't know, but it's not going to get good once you get to the highest levels.
They were 3-0, but in this particular bout, they were knocked out in 21 seconds during the boxing match. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. That was your minute with Max Delighten.
That'd be our last time.
Quick timeout. We'll be right back.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. This is Braves country.
This is unbelievable. Tonight, the Atlanta Braves welcome the New York Mets to Truist Park. Ronaldo Lopez gets the 6:20 start time. We'll have coverage starting at 6. The Atlanta Braves on ESPN Northwest Florida is sponsored by Brock's Pest Control, Store More Portable Buildings, Bill Bird Kia, PCB Hobby, Mid-South Lumber, and Gulf Coast Aquarium.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. The rest of the day, partly cloudy and a temperature of 74 with wind 15 to 20 miles per hour out of the southeast. Mostly clouds tonight, a gentle breeze and quite warm near 67. Mostly cloudy and raining moderately and 76 tomorrow. 73 and very heavy rain and some sun with a strong breeze Thursday. Friday, sunshine and a temperature about the same at 71. This is your Tuesday's weather brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
Is your restaurant looking a little tired from the long off season? Is your office a little offish? Start the new year off right by giving them a fresh start. Fresh Start Cleaning is now accepting new clients. Ask about their complimentary hood cleaning services. Fresh Start Cleaning. Get clean again with Fresh Start. Call 850-771-6917, 771-6917, and ask about the complimentary hood cleaning services.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
This 53-man roster is stupid.
Where it's halftime all the time.
Raise the rosters, you cheapskate owners, and get that done now.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
What is going on? You're back in the doghouse riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Tyler Bishop, Caveman Rick, and Tho Bishop joins us as Max Delyden exits. Oh, man. Didn't even get Max an opportunity to plug in his Allegiant Lending fam, but you can Google that, and if you need any help with your loans, if you're buying a house, man, make sure you are searching up Max Delyden there on Facebook with Allegiant Lending. All right, we went a little bit off the rails. We're going to see if we continue off the rails or do we get brought back. LSU Jeff, you are now riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. What's up, bro?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Wonderful today, man. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good.
Good. What you got?
Well, my women's bracket ended up 63rd.
Ooh, wait.
Out of 3.45 million brackets.
What do you win?
You know what? The funny part about it is,
pride.
I only put one bracket in. Okay, in order to win prizes on ESPN.com, you have to make 25 brackets. That's crazy. I mean.
Who's got time to fill 25 brackets?
I mean, who wants to make 25 brackets? That's like 25 alternate personalities I have.
There you go. You could just sit down with each personality and take the time to figure it all out right there. And then at that point, you can actually name each of your personalities and go from there. Learn a lot about yourself in those few hours.
Well, talk about multiple personalities. Diana Taurasi, like y'all were talking about.
Yeah.
Dude, she's toxic, man.
Ooh, here we go.
And look, I mean, it was bad enough they had 3 UConn girls on the Final Four game between UConn and Iowa. It was so slanted and biased. It was the worst thing ever. And you know what? I'm okay with Sue Bird. I'm okay with her. But Diana, I mean, she's just awful, and she's so slanted. And I don't agree with that that last second. What did they have? They had a moving block. I think it was a right call. I mean, the girl, moved her elbow out, she lowered her body, and she drug both feet. And she's tall. It was, obvious. And I don't believe that you don't call that at the end of the game because you're determining the game. No, she determined the game because she did a moving block, and it's illegal. And it brings me back to the Saints NFC loss versus the Rams. You know, they picked up a flag. You know, that's changing the outcome of a game.
Yeah.
This one was not. I mean, it was a right call, and Iowa deserved to beat UConn. And yeah.
Yeah. So. Right there. Also, you can go back to the Chiefs-Eagles game a couple years ago with James Bradbury on one of the last plays of the game, and he kind of pulls the jersey, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, you shouldn't have called that." Well, it's like at the end of the day, I'm all for the refs kind of having the least involvement as possible, but if they throw a flag and there's visual evidence there of what happened to throw the flag, then it is what it is at that point. I want you to call in the first quarter the same way that you're calling in the fourth quarter. So if that's how they were calling, and I was actually listening on the radio for that particular play, not the Super Bowl play, but the women's national champion or the women's Final Four game between Iowa and UConn, and the announcers did not seem to like the call very much, but at the end of the day, I don't think, that's one of the perks of being a broadcaster, right? Is you kind of get to throw a little bit of shade at those referees. But you better watch out about talking about Diana Taurasi like that. She might call you narcissistic or something of that nature. LSU Jeff, we've got to run to another caller. Thanks so much for the call, my friend.
All right, take it easy.
Absolutely, you as well. Lynn Haven, Rob, you are now riding with Rob, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. What's going on?
Hey, man, how are you? I can barely hear you, David. I can hear the other caller good, so we can turn you up some.
How about now? Can you hear me right now? I think Caveman Rick's going to be working on
barely, but I'll put you on speaker.
Well, how about this? I can hear you very well, so you just talk and we'll try to go from there.
Well, okay, I was calling about yesterday. I wanted to call in yesterday, but I didn't get a chance. One, we were talking about the Atlanta Braves, and that's what I watched last night. I watched all the way to the the Braves game for the Henry Aaron 50 years because I was doing the same thing that the guy that called in yesterday. That I was sitting in the living room with my mom. I was 13 years old watching that, and I actually took a picture of the TV so I'd have a memory of Hank Aaron running the bases in that after he hit 715.
How big was that camera?
Well, the problem was that the flash went off, and all it gave me was a big green screen. So.
But at least you have the memory, right? A picture is worth 1,000 words, and you know the words to put to that memory there.
Because, well, and the thing is back then, cable had just come out, and Ted Turner had bought Channel 2 out of Atlanta, and that's who was broadcasting on Turner Broadcasting. They were broadcasting all the Atlanta Braves games, and that's how Atlanta became America's team, because they were the first organization to broadcast their games live on cable TV.
Yep, old TBS for you.
The other thing I was going to call and talk about yesterday was about the 11 injections during the Mississippi State
in Arkansas. Yeah, that was trash.
If you leave your position and come to and get involved or even a round of any type of conflict, it is an automatic injection. So if you're in the bullpen and you come out and get onto the playing field, you're ejected. If you're in the dugout and you get out on the playing field, you're ejected. If you're in center field and come to the plate, you're ejected. So that's why all those people, whether a swing is, a punch is thrown or anything else, it's an automatic ejection.
You got me conflicted over here, Rob, because the rule book is the rule book, and if you throw that at me, I can't argue about it. But for the entertainment purposes, it's like, come on, man, like they weren't even doing anything but separating each other. But I'm with you.
Here's my thing: if you're gonna get ejected, you might as well get your blows in. Right?
Get your money's worth. Yeah, absolutely, man. Let's have some popcorn flying. Give us a reason to cheer over here. Come on now. Watching that replay though, I was just like, why is everyone getting ejected? But that makes a lot of sense though. You leave your position, you're going to get involved in the altercation, you're going to get ejected. But man, if these kids, like if you're a kid and you know that, you like we just said, you might as well give a reason for ejection rather than just, I went from shortstop to behind the plate, so I won't be able to play in the next.
Here's one thing I've always noticed, that when the guys come out of the bullpen, they just kind of dance around the circle out there together. Because you want to fight, do it out there in the outfield, because you're both in the outfield with the opposite bullpen, you know. So
that's like the dudes at the bar who want to fight someone. It's like, let's go outside and handle this. Like, why not just handle it right here, fellas? Just give us a show while we're inside. Don't make us have to go anywhere and wait for any of this. What you got?
And the other thing, real quick, before you got to go or somebody else call in, is about Strider and all of them. You know, he developed that curveball this year.
Yeah.
You know, did that hurt him? And plus, these guys are throwing, none of them really, they fall off of the mound. They don't finish up into a fielding position. And two, they're mostly all arm. You know, they're throwing with weighted baseballs to stretch, you know, in spring training and everything else. So I can't see where the pitch clock is really affecting this. I think a lot of it is mechanics and just throwing, because the guys that are there now, we're throwing way more pitches as a youngster, a teenager, and travel ball and everything else than what they are now. Because if you're on a travel team, you still can't throw but so many pitches in a week. And it's like if you're under 13 or 14, it's like in the 70s.
Yeah,
you can't throw 100 pitches.
Yeah, I think
they're very strict on that.
Ryan's son is, I forget what age group they're in, maybe 11 and 12 years old, and I think theirs is around 75 or so, and they are strict. I mean, remember last year, former Mosley coach Bobby Howard was suspended for pitch count on one of the Mosley players there in some tournament ball that they were playing. So you're absolutely right. Lynn Haven, Rob, thank you so much for the call, my friend. Right, you have a great rest of your afternoon, all right?
You too, brother. See you later. Bye.
Absolutely. Great stuff there. Always encourage the calls. You guys feel free to call us, 850-215-6290. If you don't feel like hopping on the line with us, you can always text us at that same very number, and we will read it out and give you credit. All right, Tho Bishop, Tyler Bishop, brothers talking the NFL draft with us. Guys, what are we doing on April 25th for the NFL draft?
We're going to be out on that Thursday night over at St. Andy's. doing some live draft commentary. So again, we got some Saints fans out there. Come out here, see what your team does.
Yeah.
They're never a boring team, particularly during draft night. We'll see what they trade up for this year. But it's going to be draft starts at 7. We'll start for that, but it's going to be live draft commentary. We'd love to hear you cheer or jeer, whatever your team picks on that night.
I am excited for that. So y'all come join us. I'm going to be down there. Tyler, Tho's going to be down there. We're going to have some of our buddies. Caveman Rick might show up. So that's going to be at St. Andy's, which is a rather new establishment. Grand opening is happening in 4 days, April 13th. So y'all make sure you go check that out. They're going to be opening up their food to everyone. But yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. Really excited to be able to join Tho and Tyler for that and talk some NFL draft and see how it plays out, because I know I might be the most ticked off in that building that evening if the Titans don't do the right thing and go after a offensive lineman, specifically a left tackle or a tackle of any sort, to try to protect Will Levis and see if that is the quarterback of the future for the Tennessee Titans. But while we're on the NFL draft here, we can talk a little team needs. And let's start off with those New Orleans Saints. Which direction should they go, or what are the needs of the New Orleans Saints at this point in time?
Well, it's a team that's very interesting. They have a lot of money invested in older players, but and yet they still have major needs. Right? They traded up, made a very aggressive trade for Tyler Penning a few years ago at left tackle. Does not seem to be a solution there. So I'd expect them to go offensive line at this point. A lot of good options there, but they could use something on the defensive line, particularly down defensive tackles in particular. I know they had Chase Young. It's a team that could even need a receiver. Michael Thomas has moved on. So it's one of those interesting teams. They haven't had a lot of cap to play around with. They've been kicking the can down the road for quite some time. So it'd be interesting to see what they prioritize. But again, a team always willing and able to move upwards and do some business.
More AFC and NFC South team needs when we get back. Saints fans, I know we got a ton of you out there. Tell me who you guys are looking for the Saints to make their first round draft pick with, or call in and talk with Tho, Tyler, and myself. We are the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida.
Mornings on ESPN Northwest Florida just got unsportsmanlike.
On a first date, I heard about somebody bringing flowers to someone else. Is that the move on first dates in 2024?
No.
On a first date, probably not.
When do you bring the flowers? Second date? Third date?
No, it's got to be after the third date. It's after the third date, and then all of a sudden, there's something there.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle. Weekdays 5 to 7 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. The rest of the day, partly cloudy and a temperature of 74 with wind 15 to 20 miles per hour out of the southeast. Mostly clouds tonight, a gentle breeze and quite warm near 67. Mostly cloudy and raining moderately and 76 tomorrow. 73 and very heavy rain and some sun with a strong breeze Thursday. Friday, sunshine and a temperature about the same at 71. This is your Tuesday's weather brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
The road is yours, so let your spring adventures begin and discover the new Kia at Bill Bird Kia. Stop by today and check out our 2024 SUV family and take a test drive. See all the new features that elevate any adventure. Now offering 4.75% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2024 Kia Sorento EX. You'll get that rugged good look with luxury and the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. Bill Bird Kia, the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by anytime and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKia.PanamaCity.com. We'll give you the peace of mind that you can trust.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2024 Kia Sorento EX with $2,294 per month for 1,000 financed in 48 months. Quantities limited. No down payment required. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 4/30/24.
WPLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Lynn powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Call in with your questions, hot takes, and rants at 850-215-6290.
I'm sure that most of you have used a dial telephone before.
The Sports Talk Monster.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hour number 2 of the Afternoon Underdogs, and you are listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. It's David Hayes, Tyler Bishop, Tho Bishop, Caveman Rick, ESPN Northwest Florida, presenting the race to Talladega. You can win 2 passes to the Geico 500, Saturday, April 20th, Sunday, April 20th. Now, normally you listen to the Coach L Show mornings at 7:15 and 8:15, but what was the code word of the day, Caveman Rick? Hit us with the code word of the day for today and see if we can get some more text in.
Little Talladega Nights. Shake. Shake and bake, baby.
Text the word shake right now with your name to 850-215-6290. Then here at 5:15, we're going to be announcing a name. So I'll have Caveman Rick randomly generate the name to call. And how long it takes you to call back is going to be your qualifying time. Fastest qualifying time each week wins the race to Talladega. We still have a tie from last week that we're going to have to figure out between Gator, Phil, and one of our other callers. Oh, man. Drew Gearhart. So with that being said, I'll reach out to those guys tomorrow because we're more than likely going to have to do that on the Afternoon Underdogs. But let's get back into team needs for you. Was there anything different other than offensive linemen for the Saints? Which direction would you like to see them go?
I mean, I'm more just interested at what point do they just blow it up and start. I mean, they brought in Derek Carr on a big contract. Like Tho said, they've had a lot of cap issues for a long time now. Sean Payton left. Dennis Allen has done fine, but hasn't done anything special. Like at a certain point, like do you see just them blowing it up and kind of start from scratch? Because if not, they just kind of keep kicking the can down the road. Michael Thomas getting up there, Alvin Kamara's getting up there. You know, Olave's been great for him, but I mean that's just one guy on that offense. And Derek Carr didn't. I don't think he brought the spark that they were hoping for last year.
Yeah,
maybe year 2 in the new offense, new team, he picks it up a little bit. But at a certain point, like as a Saints fan, it's kind of like we're here, but there's not a super bright future at the moment.
Well, it's very, very New Orleans-like. It's like a team, like a guy that's woken up after a bender, and rather than allow the hangover hit in, he's just going back to the bottle. They've been doing this time and time and time again with their cap situation.
Little hair of the dog for you, my friend. Yeah, and it seems like last year was like, all right, we got Derek Carr. There's no more Tom Brady in this division. So unless Bryce Young just absolutely surprises us, we're going to run away with this division. And it didn't work out like that. Also, wide receiver, you can't forget about one of the guys with one of the best names in all of football, and Rashid Shaheed. Yeah, there is that. But no, I'm right there with you. They're starting to get a little stale, a little old over that way. Is Derek Carr actually going to be able to be the answer? And then also, I know one of the biggest questions for Saints fans over for at least the last 2 years is Dennis Allen really our guy? So we'll end up see more from that this year, and there's not going to be a Jameis Winston or Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton was with the Panthers last year, so but no Jameis Winston to be backing up Derek Carr. So did they get another backup, or are they going to be hoping on Taysom Hill?
Well, I know they drafted a guy last year.
Okay.
That had a I want to believe they signed someone. It doesn't come to mind immediately, but yeah.
But they're sitting at 14. I mean, if 4 quarterbacks go in the top 10, or top 11, like a lot of people are expecting, that pushes some better players down for the Saints. They could be sitting there with one of the top 2 or 3 tackles on the board. They could be sitting there with one of the number 4 wide receiver if the top 3 guys go early, like a lot of people are projecting. So they could end up with like a Dallas Turner or Terrion Arnold. There's going to be somebody up there with those quarterbacks kind of pushing some other prospects down.
Nathan Peterman.
They signed Peterman?
Yeah.
Because the other guy is, I believe, the kid from Fresno State, Jake Haener.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
that's right. Yeah, the Fresno connection between him and Carr.
All right, one of the teams who had one of the best off seasons, the Atlanta Falcons. Kirk Cousins. Now they did sign Raheem Morris to be their head coach, so we'll see how round 2, not necessarily with the Buccaneers, but how round 2 as a head coach for Raheem Morris goes. What are the team needs for those Atlanta Falcons?
I think defense. They have taken care of the offensive side of the ball. They've number of first-round picks. You bring in Cousins out there. Draft a gambling tip. If you look at Hard Rock betting odds right now, you can get the top defensive player, Terrion Arnold, at 20-1 odds. A lot of people are mocking Dallas Turner there. They are, I think, a very possible trade back candidate. But if they're still there at 8, they have some needs at that cornerback position. Terrion Arnold, I think, is right there with the cornerback out of Toledo, Mitchell. To me, that's one of my best bets out there. But I think it's going to be a defense-heavy draft. Try to bring in some talent there. Let Raheem Morris coach those guys up. Again, I think the offensive side should be taken care of if Kirk Cousins, coming back from that Achilles injury, they're expecting him to solve all the problems on that side of the ball.
Yeah, you look at team needs for basically the entire league, and it's like edge rusher, offensive line, cornerback, and wide receiver. And as we talked about last week, wide receivers, inside linebackers, Yeah, what? No, is it running back and inside linebackers are the weak portion? Yeah, the weak portion of the draft. But wide receivers, there's a plethora of those. Mike Thomas is a free agent, by the way. What about maybe Mike Thomas to the Chiefs? Would Patty Mahomes revive that career for him?
Could he stay healthy long enough to?
No, but I mean, hey, he could help out Chiefsaholic with his $10.2 million that he owes the bank.
Well, he'd cause fewer problems than Kadarius Toney is healthy. So
there you go. But then the question mark around Rashee Rice. Now they did sign Hollywood Brown, but we're not on the AFC West right now. The Atlanta Falcons. I think whoever gets Terry and Arnold is going to get obviously Bama bias there, but just watching him, because Kool-Aid McKinstry was the guy last year going into the season, but as the season progressed, you started seeing more of number 3 and definitely intrigued me along the way. How about for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? What are some team needs for the Bucs?
They definitely, there's some talent that I am sure Bulls would love to have on the defense. They lost their Gray as a cornerback, or Carlton Davis, the cornerback, got traded there. They could use another defensive back. But this is a team that also has offensive line needs. They've got Godwin to pair with Mike Evans, but it's another team that could possibly use a wide receiver as an option there. They're at a very interesting point in the draft. Who's going to be, I would be a little surprised if they're an aggressive team trying to move upwards. So are they one of those teams that might look like, one of those second half of the first round receivers, something like a Ladd McConkey, like a 8A Mitchell from Texas.
Oh, yeah.
It's a team where, you have Baker Mayfield there. You've made that investment. Get him another weapon out there to complement the other two guys you got.
All right. Not only that, they need a little bit of youth in that receiving core. They've had some guys they've drafted that just haven't really seemed to pan out a whole lot. And Mike Evans isn't going to be Mike Evans forever. Chris Godwin's been hit or miss as far as his health wise. And but I mean, they're a team sitting there at 26. Edge with Shaq Barrett being released earlier this offseason. Could use a guy like that. Those guys typically don't last to 26. So you're kind of sitting there and see who falls. If somebody's shockingly, there's always one or two every year, like, oh, this guy should have gone top 10, or everybody thought he was going to go top 12, and he's still there at the bottom of the first. And as a guy like that still sitting there, and that could be a fun team for them, because they do have the way that the Baker played last year, gives them a little bit of optimism going into this year, and you can just start adding some pieces and see what happens.
Barrett says Ladd. Few emojis following that. Give me about 15 wide receivers before him. So, and you've got him pegged to be your offensive rookie of the year, can we say long shot? Okay, value pick for rookie of the year next year in the National Football League. So, and who knows? Anything can happen if he gets it. It's all that we're talking about with these prospects right now, it doesn't even start getting momentum until we find out that teams, and then they land on a team's like, oh, he could work out well right there. Jackson State Jeff, you're on the line with the Afternoon Underdogs. What up, my dude?
My man, what's going on, brothers?
Not a whole lot, man. What about with you?
Man, listen, y'all called out the Saints. Now, this is hypothetical if it could happen. What we really need is a quarterback and a head coach. That would be what we first need to start, because the two that we have right now are piss poor put together.
So are you holding out? Are you holding out hope for Derek Carr for next year, though?
No, I'm gonna tell you why. Derek Carr arrived in New Orleans, and the first picture he took, he and his wife were at a Chipotle. We should have ran his ass out of town. He should have put him back on the plane, and he should have been back in Vegas or wherever the damn Raiders were, wherever they are. He should have been at Dumalisa's. He could have been at Parkways. He could have been in any place on Bourbon Street. So that was the writing on the wall right then and there. So no car. No car.
What about Allen? What's his major mistake?
Well, the coach is just piss poor. Hold on. Is this not the same coach that stunk up the place when he was coaching for the Raiders?
Yeah. he is.
NFL jobs. When do they think somebody who was bad in the previous time is going to all of a sudden just be great?
Well, it's okay. They brought in reinforcements. John Gruden is doing some consulting for him. Another great Raiders hire. So.
Oh, God. That was all. Hey, but Dave, I got a little inside for you.
All right.
You know that ESPN fan something?
Don't tell me that's your wife.
No, I'm number one in the house, baby. I see her.
So you're our winner then.
Yeah, I'm finally back number one in the Foster household.
Oh,
You got to show a valid photo ID that says ESPN 368-492. So I hope you got one.
Yeah, man. Hey, I got to talk to Randy, and once I get all of your prize package in order, then, man, I've been wondering who that was. Like, I know most of the names on there, and then I see ESPN fan 68654. I'm like, well, I guess I got $250 right now. I'm just kidding. But that is awesome. I'm glad that you're back on top in the household, my man.
Yeah, my wife had won 2 of the last ones, and I've been on the dry street for like the last 7 years, so I can finally walk around the house, pull my britches up a little farther.
Hey, there you go, man. There you go. Walk that walk, talk that talk. Also, real quick here, who do you want to see? I know that you're stuck with Carr and Allen at least for halfway through the season next year. Who do you want to see the Saints draft with their first draft pick?
I tell you, I'm like my man. I think we should go tackle. That's the most obvious. But there is some, I think, real game breakers with wide receivers in this draft. And I would love, I know he probably wouldn't be there, but the kid from Washington, I would love if he could follow to us and put him in the Olave. I think we got something going.
Oh, that would be a doozy for Rome.
I got a question. How would you feel about pairing up Brock Bowers with Taysom Hill? Give you some real flexibility at that tight end position.
You know something, man? We might need to make you the offensive coordinator.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Because that's what we don't have. Dennis Allen has no conception of offense. Not one. I don't even know if he knows a snap count, to tell you the truth.
He learned that last year. And learned that they've got to change it up every now and again, or else the defensive line starts to get a little antsy and can call them out there. But Jackson State, Jeff, we're going to continue on with our other team needs. Thanks so much for the call, man. It was really good to hear from you.
Guys soon. Let me stop by.
All right, man. I can't wait for it, bro. You have a great rest of your day. All right now?
As well, everyone.
All right, Jackson State, Jeff, ladies and gentlemen. So we've done what? Falcons, the Bucks, the Saints, and like most Saints fans, like they're not very happy with Derek Carr. They're obviously not happy with Dennis Allen, and I believe rightfully so. Not just because it's the defensive coordinator pick, because I do believe that we are on that transition. I think it started last year. We are on that cycle now where defense is going to be the more dominant side of the ball, or the defenses are catching up with offensive schemes, and so it'll be a little harder for offenses to game plan for the defenses. Now, we'll see how that ends up playing out. But how about the Carolina Panthers? What are some team needs for the Carolina Panthers?
Receiver.
Ownership. All right.
A taller quarterback.
Temper your expectations, guys.
That is another interesting Hard Rock backing at 10-1 odds at Xavier Worthy. Going to the Panthers.
Okay, speedster.
That's a team that needs speed. I mean, they had the slowest wide receiver core out there last year.
Yeah.
Josh Norris, who great draft analyst, definitely has some people on the inside there. He keeps mentioning that connection out there. So again, 10-1 odds with Hard Rock right now. It's one of the picks I like right now.
Barrett says, "What is not a team need for the Panthers?
Yeah,
cheerleaders, I guess."
I mean, they're in a spot like they can't go wrong. I mean, it kind of is rough for them because they don't have a first round pick. Obviously, they wait until 33 before they pick. I mean, just whoever the best player that falls. So they don't have to worry about what position. I mean, you can't pick a quarterback after what you gave up for Bryce Young last year. But outside of that, just whatever falls to you, you can't go wrong at this point.
What about the kid from UCLA, Latu?
Yep.
Latu, how do you think he's a viable option for some of these teams that are in the top 20 looking for an edge rusher?
Absolutely. I mean, he's a guy that, he really dominated the USC game. I think that's what really stood out to people. Has some interesting medical backgrounds. He had to transfer because the previous team wouldn't allow him to play. So assuming all that checks out, I definitely think, I think he's got a very good shot of probably being the third edge rusher after Dallas Turner and a kid from FSU. But I think that 20 range, someone like the Rams, I think those are definitely options on the table there.
All right. So we pretty much wrapped up the NFC South there. We've got 1 minute here. Well, you know what? Go ahead and hit that sounder for me, Caveman Rick, whenever you're ready. We're going to have the same caller from the Inside Drive who did not qualify now with us on the Afternoon Underdogs. Chris Coe means you are on the clock, 850-215-6290. You've got 3 seconds, and we'll find out what your time is as Caveman Rick has got him on the line. But while we've got that beautiful music in the the background, want to tell you guys about the Blast at Bay Point. Play the Masters Fantasy Challenge to win a foursome at the beautiful Bay Point Golf Club in Panama City Beach, plus accommodations at the Hampton Inn on Thomas Drive. It's free to play. You just sign up at ESPNPC.com. You can invite your golfing buddies to play along with you. Keep listening to win amazing prizes from your official station for fun and games on the Gulf Coast, ESPN Northwest Florida. 2.5 seconds for Chris. I don't know if I think that's got him a half second ahead of the leader, though, so we don't got time to get him on the line for us today, but we're not going to put him on the line with us today, Caveman.
Yeah,
right?
I just was turning it down by accident.
Okay.
Man. Just bumped the button.
All right, let's move on here. We'll go to the AFC South. Let's talk about one of the favorite teams from around in this area, the Jacksonville Jaguars. What are some of the needs for that team this year?
You kind of play this around for a lot of the AFC teams: wide receiver, cornerback, offensive line.
Yeah.
That's true for the Colts. It's true for the Titans. Perhaps even more offensive line needs there. But,
Yes.
I think it's a team. Having missed on Calvin Ridley, wouldn't surprise me at all. See him make a big swing at wide receiver. Maybe Brian Thomas if he slips down there.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get one of those two cornerbacks. If one of those fall, I think those are the sort of people that they're going to be looking for in the first round.
All right, the ideal pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars would be?
If the Toledo cornerback falls down, they need that, particularly when you have some other options at wide receiver. I think they're big on Ricky Pearsall, potentially as a second-round guy. So if one of those two cornerbacks falls, I think they'll be very happy with that.
All right. What about you, Tyler? Any differences of opinions there? Do you have someone that you would like to see Jacksonville go after?
I think for Jacksonville, this is kind of the point where you got to make you're starting to make that commitment to Lawrence. So I think giving him, you haven't really seen them invest a whole lot of draft capital in playmakers. You haven't seen them draft. With Ridley moving on, they haven't invested a lot in Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram, which I'm not saying they're bad players, but not somebody that you kind of focus your offense around.
Yeah, they basically got three wide receiver threes.
Yeah,
trying to play wide receiver because they also got Gabe Davis out
from
of
the Bills.
Buffalo.
Kind of to your point, they've got a bunch of 2 and 3 guys, but not an alpha in that room. And I would like to see them try to make a move because it's getting to the point where you're going to have to pay Lawrence like everybody else is getting paid. And putting him in the best position to succeed there.
Is Trevor Lawrence worth the same money that some of the other guys have been getting paid? He's been playing great quarterback. He's not injured very often at all. Missed his first game last year. So, what do you think he's going to be commanding?
He's going to be the market rate for a quarterback. It sucks because his rookie year was basically wasted with the whole Urban Meyer fiasco. Mm-hmm. Great second year. They made the playoffs there, and then last year was a little bit of a disappointment. Did get hurt midway through the year or towards the end of the year, whatever it was. So I think it's a little too early to say either way. I don't think he's been the generational can't-miss product that people expected from like Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning. But, I think he's been good enough that there's reason to believe he could end up being a top 7 or 8 guy in the league. But like I said, I think you need to get him a little bit of help.
They're going to pay him. He's going to be a top quarterback in the league whenever that contract hits. I'd much rather be in their shoes than the Dolphins' shoes right now, making that decision. They've got to get some cost control at their receiver position. They like to spend a lot of money there. They also need an edge rusher right now. You've got Josh Allen. They still haven't given him a contract. Travon Walker doing a lot of very good stuff, but kind of more of an interior pass rusher right now than someone excelling on the outside. That's another direction where defense was one of the big problems last year. They have a new guy in, Atlanta's former defensive coordinator, but interested to see if they try to get another playmaker on that side of the ball.
Ooh, is this a filthy narrative? If the Giants need a quarterback, the Jags do as well. They have very similar stats. Daniel Jones and Trevor Lawrence.
Would anybody here take Daniel Jones over Trevor Lawrence? Would anybody in America? I don't think.
What about you, Johnny Yankee Seed? Would you take Daniel Jones or Trevor Lawrence? Who would you take? Ricky. All right.
I said I wouldn't.
I was about to say, Eagles need a quarterback. Who you getting?
Definitely take Trevor.
Yeah, I'm right there with Trevor Lawrence as well. And a lot of the stats are inflated for Daniel Jones on that 1 year.
But Daniel Jones also been in the league, 6 years now? As opposed to Lawrence, who's been in 2.5, if you want to count his rookie year as a half year. You know what I'm saying? That's a little bit different. A little bit different scenario there.
He says the stats are equal. Anything you want to leave us with, though? We're out of time for this segment.
I'm not gonna. It's just join us at St. Andy's.
There you go.
Bring your team gear. Again, you've got hard opinions about what the Saints should do.
A mock draft contest, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we're going to have a mic and everything. It's not going to be broadcast on the radio. It's just going to be something that we're down there doing for fun and having some fun over there at St. Andy's. And so we'll have a mic and speaker set up, and we'll let people speak their mind. And, we'll have a good old-fashioned time. Rick, what you got?
You guys were saying it's a new place, right? Having a grand opening. Well, No Name just closed, right? So anybody used to go there looking for a new hangout, maybe check out St. Andy's, right?
There you go, man. We just gave away a lot of plugs right there. You guys are riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Quick timeout, and we will be right back. We're going to be jamming with Jay Chapman.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Dan Patrick Show.
I wasn't joking when I reached out to DraftKings and I said, hey, let's come up with a betting line. This Connecticut team versus the Detroit Pistons. I'm going to let you guys decide what you think that point spread would be. The Pistons would be listed as a 45-point favorite.
It's the Dan Patrick Show. Weekday mornings from 9 till 11. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Tuesday evening. As we head into tonight, mostly clouds and a low of 67 with a light breeze at 6 miles per hour coming out of the southeast. For tomorrow morning, mostly clouds and a temp near 75. In the afternoon and evening, a mixture of mostly clouds and likely thunderstorms and a high around 76. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
Hi, I'm Tracy, your diamond girl at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Shopping for the perfect diamond can be difficult, but that's why I've trained my staff to be helpful and to offer you a stress-free diamond experience. Pick your sparkle and use our easy layaway plan. Every woman deserves an exquisite diamond from your diamond girl at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. We don't work on commissions.
We work for smiles and I-dos.
So if you're tired of high-pressure salespeople, stop by and see us today at Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
The next evolution in sports talk radio. It's the Afternoon Underdogs.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Weekdays from 4 till 6. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
We are back. You are in the doghouse with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes along with Tyler Bishop, Caveman Rick, and we've got Jay Chapman in the building with us with Chapman Wealth Management. Y'all go see him if you want to become financially fit. He will take care of you. Give him a little information there, Jay.
Yeah, like you said, we're just trying to help people, again, with anything that falls under the umbrella of, wealth planning. So whether that be sort of just understanding your investments or where you fit in, in your retirement plan, just come see us or give us a call at 850-867-8247. Boom.
So we've got some pretty big injuries in Major League Baseball. Yuri Perez, Shane Bieber, Spencer Strider, and the list could grow as well. What do you think is behind that? We've heard theories of the pitch clock. We've heard theories on the emphasis of spin and velocity. What do you think is behind some of these? Is it just freak injuries? What do you think it is?
No, I don't think it's a freak injury, right? Because they're becoming more consistent.
Right.
But I do think that I don't think the pitch clock has anything to do with it. There are people that have been, quote unquote, working fast.
Yeah.
For their, the entirety of their career. Some pitchers work slow, but other times pitchers work fast, and so I don't know that has anything to do with it. I would say that the hyper focus on velocity and spin and all this other stuff is probably correlated to some degree, right? And because we're becoming sort of more hyper focused on the velocity aspect of it and how do we attain higher velocities. I mean, like I said, I was actually interested in trying to figure out when you've seen the average move the way that the fastball has, right? Like the average of anything, right? I was actually challenging a scout the other night that I was talking to at one of the local games. I was like, when have you seen the average 40-yard dash or the average 40-inch vertical leap or the average? When have you seen not an outlier? But, when I was playing in 2012, 2013, 2014, the average Major League fastball was 89.5. Now it's 94.5.
Wow.
That's average.
Yeah.
So that's not an outlier. That's not a Aroldis Chapman. It's not Usain Bolt running this is the average has moved a huge degree to the right on the bell curve. And I'm like, I don't know another time in sports, the threshold for the 40 and the 40-inch vertical leap, things like that.
Yeah.
And the 40-yard dash, it's kind of been pretty similar for years. I don't know.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. And so, but like I said, Trevor Bauer, I know that say whatever you want about him. He has a lot of really good information on YouTube and things like this, but he's also done some research on he actually has a way to measure, I guess you'd say, in some sense, how stressed his UCL is, and that sort of determines the ulnar collateral ligament, which is Tommy John, right? And so how stressed that is, and that dictates his throwing for the day. And so again, I don't know, if it's the people are not getting full rest or they're doing in between throwing too much or whatever, but the weighted balls obviously is another thing, and they have their place. Do not get me wrong; that they are very efficient for patterning, right? How you pattern your delivery, you become much stronger positions when you throw heavier things, and then that can sort of translate into lighter. But all that other stuff helps velocity, but I don't know that it's that great for the arm overall.
Yeah,
see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So is that something that pitchers should be focusing on? Is resting more, actually resting in between their starts. So in between their 5 days or whatever, they're not throwing at all. I mean, what is the in between your appearances? How often are you throwing? Like, even if because as a baseball player, that's the first thing that you want to do when you get to the ballpark after you stretch, right?
Yeah, and you throw every day. See, I don't think a lot of people quite know that. I mean, from the day one of spring training, it's catch play, and there's bullpens, and there's if you're a reliever, you're throwing every 3 out of every 5 days, and if you're a starter, you're throwing every 5th day. But the 3rd day is a bullpen, right? So you have game, day off, bullpen, 2-day off, start. And that's just sort of a routine that you get in. Some guys will go 3rd day bullpen just based on their own bodies. But I don't know that that's just kind of the way people have done it. When I went to Driveline for a little while out in Seattle, I started kind of getting, even though I, kind of did some things that weren't that smart there with the weighted balls, I kind of got more in tune with understanding how hard I was throwing or the effort that I was putting behind each throw. And so the intensity, right? That's, how intense are your in-between throwing sessions? And, like I said, you can say whatever you want about Bauer, but he's got a really solid, he measures his sleep. So if he didn't sleep, how did his sleep correlative to his training? So if he didn't sleep well, he won't train that hard because he knows he's probably you might be more fatigued and injure something.
Yeah,
that's just really true.
Well, that's a lot of inventory that you got to take constantly.
Yeah.
But I guess it helps when you got an old cell phone, huh?
Yeah, and you're also, and he's also, it's $120 million was his contract for only 3. So he's got enough resources.
Yeah.
Right. But, one of the things that I remember him talking about was I don't know how he was measuring. I think it was a gap between the bones. Right, so your olecranon and your humerus, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, yeah, right, yeah, yeah, those two things. But he would measure this. I think the gap between those, and that would be it would indicate how stressed his elbow was, and if it was there was a certain metric that he used that if it was over, he wouldn't throw. And you look at this guy, right? He throws all on YouTube. I mean, he throws all year round.
Yeah.
I mean, and so he doesn't seem to have a problem. And so, unless you have Tommy John tomorrow, I'm sure. Just because I said that.
Knock on some wood real quick.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But, like I said, I don't know if the preparation for a lot of people or the I guess you say attention to detail is that level. But in my opinion, the hyper-focus on velocity and what people are willing to do to get it has certainly increased your injury potential, right? I mean, that's what I would think.
No, it makes a lot of sense to me.
I think kind of to his point, we saw with Tom Brady towards it, he became so big in that TB12, and how did he play so well into his late 40s? I mean, paying attention to your body and what the sleep and what you put into it and all that it's kind of showing that it works regardless of sport. And I'm sure LeBron's probably got similar things out there, like the guys who play well and aren't injured as much. It probably does have to do with taking care of yourself.
Steroids, man.
Well, what about too? It seems like everybody's so worried about velocity and putting spin and rotation. Well, especially younger people, should they be more worried about like location and like where the ball's going instead of throwing it so hard and like, you know, with all the spin on it?
Man, it's interesting that you say that because that's sort of been the divergence of the new age versus the old age. You know, we used to always talk about pitch making, man. That's all everybody talked about when I was coming out. Is what you're talking about, location, right? So pitch making, right? You gotta actually have a design for the pitch and try and make it.
Yeah, you don't have to like blow it by him. You can still throw it in such a way that you just get him forward or whatever, and it drops or, you know, curves or whatever, and, you know, get him to swing or just looking at it and not do nothing.
Exactly right. And kind of what you talked about, remember last week we were here with Jamie Moyer, right? I mean, these guys are getting people to swing and miss with well below average
like
velocities.
70 miles an hour.
Yeah, because they understood how to camouflage it, and they understood counts and hitters' tendencies and swing paths and all this other stuff, and they understood kind of how to get those swings and misses. Today, in my opinion, it's way more about, like what you said, being like the computer being right, or the metrics. Right, the spin axis, the spin efficiency, the spin rate, and the velocity, and it's, you know, it's just, but it's, again, in my opinion, this is like, you know, sort of, this is indicative of all areas of life. But what you focus on, you get better at. You know, and so those guys are just now they're just so focused on all those metrics that the pitch making, in my opinion, becomes a little bit more sloppy. The game just is sort of in general.
Like no fundamentals.
Yeah, that's right. You know, it's like they're just really trying to be as nasty as they can be and then sort of throw it in the direction of home plate. That's really true. That's actually what the sort of thought philosophy can be, is I'm going to have this thing, it's going to be a 3,000 spin rate, and it's going to have this spin axis. And if I throw it up there, there's a good chance I get a swing and miss based on that. Not like, hey, I don't really care what the spin rate, if it's 2,800 or 3,000, but I want to start it at his front hip and have it go into, you know, see what I'm saying? Yeah, that's sort of, and I got to be honest, just because I guess I'm a little bit more of an old school in that way, I would rather than be focused on pitch making.
Yeah, it didn't seem like guys like Nolan Ryan, I mean, he could throw hard, but it didn't seem like he was concerned about like necessarily throwing it hard or like getting the rotation, just putting it where he wanted it and blowing it by guys.
Yeah, and he just naturally threw hard, and he also threw like 7 no-hitters because of that. You know? It's like,
he got no Cy Youngs.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Well, Cy Young's got no Cy Youngs.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So, you know.
But like you said, I think that's but I think me personally is sort of a big emphasis, but it's kind of one of those deals where I don't know that you can get away without it.
Yeah.
At this point. I mean, because right now it's what the analysts, it's the scouts, the special assistants, the GMs, pitching coordinator developments, head over to pitching development, all these guys are analytics driven, and so
like so much like if you can get a hit and like Ichiro and put it in play, they don't care. It's all about exit velo and launch angle and all that junk.
That's exactly right. And like, you know, it's just weird. It's just weird because, and it's funny because you kind of be I don't know if this is boring, but
no, this is good.
This is awesome.
But you get more like you know, you get more automated in that sense, where I sort of know this to be just 100% true because I dealt with it. Right, that they have these sort of algorithms that spit out projected numbers based on like what your input,
your numbers
correct,
would
like
be,
your spin efficiency, spin rate, you know. Extension point, release point to the mound, all that different stuff. They'll enter into these systems and they'll spit out projected ERA. And it's just, to me, it's just like so not, it's just not, because it's just like a bunch of intangibles that you can't measure.
You can't measure it. And then even if so, you're chasing this unrealistic goal to be perfect every single time. And if it was perfect every single time, at that point it's a video game and it's not as fun as what it is with it being an actual game, and the fact that this is based on human beings working their tails off to be in a game of failures to be as perfect as they can every single time. And I hate that. And I hate that for young kids, that basically you're a number, and it's not like a social security number, but the numbers that are going across your analytic sheets. And if you're not performing up to those numbers, then you're going to get lost in the sauce, if you will. So I hate that for the youngins.
And I've always kind of said that those systems can't really measure who can handle the moment the best.
Yeah.
Or who can, you know, understand the task the best, right? I mean, like I said, I play with guys that threw 100, you know, with nasty sliders. This is just, no offense, this is just, you know, part of it. Yeah, but they just couldn't get outs in big situations. Like,
facts, not shade.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And so, like, I always say, like, well, why am I pitching in big situations? You know, closing games or going into whole games of the 8th inning with less stuff. And I don't know. This is not blowing myself up, but I'm just saying. You know, but it's because they just, you know, they either had the third deck syndrome, or they couldn't make pitches in big situations, or, you know, just, but those, you know, those computer systems can't measure that stuff. You know, so, you know, you see this all the time. Like you talk about, you know, even like a Stetson Bennett probably for Georgia. I mean, like none of his metrics would have probably done great, but man, was he fantastic when it mattered.
Oh yeah. I mean, he was one of the big play quarterback, our big game quarterbacks the last 5-10 years. And I think sometimes people forget, like, sports is more art than science.
Yes, right.
Like it's much more art than science. And like you said, you can put all the numbers in a computer, but it's not going to That's why upsets happen, right? That's why Vegas isn't always right. That's because you can't account for those intangibles.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it on the radio, because we're on the radio. But there's certain policies in place that if you're the CYB policy, I guess we'll say,
okay,
right, that if that if you say, well, the computer spits out this, and I say good. Well, and it doesn't work right. Well, I'm not fired because I did what the computer said.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm going to go ahead and cover myself because I'm not going to take a shot on somebody. And then, even though the computer's analytics say they're not going to be successful, and I'm going to put my neck on the line for them, and then when they're not, you're going to get fired. So they're trying to cover their own job in some sense, which I can appreciate it. I hate that it's kind of moved that way, but it is what it is.
It still, that stinks though. It stinks all the way around. Because the computer, you're just relying on the computer, and it takes away from. There you go.
If you're supposed to manage, man, there's a reason why you're supposed to be in that dugout managing, making those calls. I mean, anybody can sit there and write a piece of paper and say, "Yep, that's what we should do. We should pull the pitcher right now. Yep, put in this guy."
Do you think that baseball would be better off by having scouts that are more closer to old school, who are going there to watch the guys and go off of the eye test rather than, oh, look, we saw them in practice and we calculated and crunched a bunch of numbers and this is what we expect out of them?
Yeah, I know. It's quite interesting because, I used to say for the longest time, the numbers just told us things we already knew.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If a guy had a really tight spinning fastball, we used to just call it live.
Yeah.
It was a live heater.
Yeah.
He just missed bats. And you're like, oh, well, that's spinning. That's because it's spinning well above major league average. Whatever it is, I knew that was different than other fast. You know what I'm saying? So
cutting hairs, adding words.
Yeah, quantified. Found ways to quantify what everyone already pretty much knew. But like I said, there's those. What I really get more concerned about is those intangibles. Like I said, the people that would not jump off the screen kind of get left out because this other person who either maybe have command issues or big moment issues or whatever, the computer loves them, and so the scouts love them. But like I said, it's we'll use that's in business. Get a Georgia shirt on, but that sort of kid can get left out because like I said, he doesn't jump off the page.
Well, and that's what I thought analytics was for. Is for the fringe type players. You knew the big stars, you knew the big guns, what they had. It was those guys that you kind of didn't know about, and you could start looking at these numbers and oh yeah, this guy does kind of get on base when there's already people on base. They didn't kind of realize that because he's not a flashy player, and I thought that's where analytics probably was the genesis of the idea.
Of it, in the Moneyball stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But like I said, they're just sort of
victims. Kind of jumped the shark.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, then they just sort of skewed to finding the diamond in the rough kind of idea to who does this thing the best, right?
Yeah.
Who has the best spin ratio? Now that we're focusing on that, and like I said, typically it was probably already someone that you knew did pretty hard or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
It definitely makes it a lot interesting, and then all 20 or all 30 teams are doing the same exact thing, so that also
Well, you can't be the guy. That's another one of the CY policies, right? Because you can't be the organization not doing it, and especially if the other ones are having success. But I think I may have told this story on here before, where I'm not gonna. Yeah, okay.
Yes, you are.
Special assistant the special assistant to the GMs of one of the teams that I played for, or one of the organizations that I played for. The
Real narrows it down there.
Yeah, I know. It's only 5 of them. But the special assistant to the GM was the Ivy League's 30-year-old analytic guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the coordinators had 30 years in the big leagues. I mean, literally had 21 years in the big leagues.
Yeah.
I mean, he spent a lifetime in the big leagues. And we saw them over there arguing one day at the field, and they're like, the 21-year big leaguer, I'm not going to mention his name, he comes over and he's like, this 30-year-old guy's trying to tell me what's going to work in a big league. Everybody I've been there longer than he's been alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, but you see what I'm saying? Because, but it's crazy. The organization favored the 30-year-old Ivy League guy because he could do he was just, from a numbers analytic perspective was sharp, nice, smart guy.
Yeah. But there's something about wisdom that you just don't get when you're 30 years old. No. I don't even know if it's hilarious.
The CYA themselves, hey, well, the numbers are saying,
that's exactly right. That's what they, and that's a large portion of it that nobody wants to talk about.
Yeah. Front offices, man.
Fear, man.
Exactly right.
So we just need to go to, are there any, obviously not fan-controlled teams, but, the Green Bay Packers are largely put on by the support of their fans, the finances of their fans. I wonder if sports, do you think sports franchises, so let's just use specifically baseball, do you think that would be better off if there was less to do with the owners and front offices?
Probably. Well, they could maybe try it with the Athletics. Now I think that they could probably go buy the team for.
You'd eliminate a bunch of big egos.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure,
Yeah.
You have a collective of people trying to achieve the same goal instead of one guy that just wants to call the shots.
There you go, man.
True, man.
Shout out to the Last Dive Bar. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. One more segment to go, and we'll continue jamming with Jay Chapman when we return.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents
Wrestling Against Cancer, number 9.
Saturday, April 27th at Bay Haven Charter Academy. In the main event, it's a tag team showdown with Exodus versus Mike Steele and Mr. 850. Then, Callie Mann and Kelly Clark in the Wrestling Against Cancer Championship bout. Plus, exciting women's wrestling. Doors open at 5:30. Bell time 6:30.
More information, ESPNPC.com.
Are you tired of hearing 2 weeks when you call to get your boat worked on? Hey folks, it's Chris Kramer with Kramer Marine and Outdoor, and we'll get you in and back out on the water as quick as possible. We're a full-line Yamaha outboard dealer and Suzuki outboard dealer, and we have master-trained certified mechanics on site. So if it's just an annual service, electronics install, trolling motor install, or all the way up to a full repower, we can take care of you. So stop by and see us in the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd next to Bill Kramer GM, or call us at 850-851-0453.
Ellis Agency Insurance has been serving Panama City and Bay County for years. They offer a full line of affordable insurance coverage of all types. Many people are attracted to Ellis Agency Insurance because of their friendly, knowledgeable staff. Call independent agent Johnny Ellis for a true comparison of your personal or business insurance. Ellis Agency Insurance at the Old Cullen Insurance location, 1134 Harrison Avenue, across from Dandy Donuts and Deli. Call 763-1627.
It moves fast. The High School Spotlight. Weekdays at 5:40.
Let's do it.
Sponsored by Barbaritos. ESPN Northwest Florida.
We are back. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes, along with Tyler Bishop, Caveman Rick, and our guy, Jay Chapman, former Major League Baseball player turned wealth manager with Chapman Wealth Management. Always great to have him in the building with us to get a real legitimate perspective on the game of baseball. And we did get a question from Johnny Yankee. Well, actually, tell the people what it is that you're going to. We got a big baseball game tonight locally. Where are you headed after this?
I'm going to head straight over to Arnold and watch the Arnold Marlins play the Mosley Dolphins, and probably get there after the first inning, but I'm excited to see it. I think Eli Blair is going again tonight, and I would probably think Martinez would go for Mosley, but I'm not sure of the rotation, but I'm really excited to see that game.
There you go, man. That's going to be a huge one. Arnold and Mosley tonight. I'm sure the first pitch tonight, 6 p.m.?
6 p.m., yep.
6 p.m. Y'all go check it out, man. Support your baseball players and softball players here in Bay County. Johnny Yankee Seed wanted to know if you ever considered going overseas to play. Was there any allure of playing in Japan?
Yeah, I had thought about it. I actually went to and played Winter League in the Dominican for 1 year, right?
Oh.
Yeah, so I went over to the Dominican Winter League, and it's like their big leagues. I mean, there's 25,000 people a game. They have drums in the stands. It's like, it is crazy, man. And it is...
Drums in that. How was that getting used to? Was it awesome, like the vibe?
Very intense.
Yeah.
I mean, game 3, 4, 5 of the season. I mean, it's like World Series style. I mean, it was, I stuck out like a sore thumb. I had really long hair at the time, and it was blonde.
Oh.
You're like, look at this guy, man. Look at this guy.
Gringo over here.
Sorry?
Look at this gringo.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so, but it was like, I appreciated the passion, man. I mean, it was, but so I did get to experience that in a Winter League scenario. But, as far as Japan or Korea and Taiwan, there were some interest there, but I wasn't really what they were looking for, if I'm just being 100% honest, right? I mean, if you think about what Japan has, and you only get 5 imports on a team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's limited. Yeah, so
is that league each league? Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean that's just Japan is the one that most people focus on.
Yeah,
because it's a lot of money.
Yeah,
and it's 50,000. I mean, it's very similar to a major league atmosphere, and they kind of call it 4A, I guess you'd say, in between AAA and the big leagues.
Okay,
but typically what they want is big hard throwers. I mean, there's not a lot of velo in that league. I mean,
so they want a stereotypical American pitcher.
Yeah, that's kind of right. And but I'm kind of a pitch making guy.
Yeah.
They got plenty of those guys. They got guys, those splitters, sliders, change slurs. I said they want a guy that's like, two of my buddies went over there and both of them were 6'6" and 200.
They're looking for Steve Nebraska.
That's exactly right. Exactly what they're looking for. Yeah, but and like I said, that's really just the model. For what they're looking for is just because it's what's sort of more, I guess say more scarce over there.
Yeah.
But it's just and I just didn't really fit that model.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, that was totally fine. But I had some interest. But and also I didn't know if I wanted to play over there. Man, don't take it lightly. Man, those guys are tough. I mean, just the style of baseball is totally different. I actually did way better versus the big swing and miss guys. I'm not saying that I would get these guys out, right? But like a Judge or a Trout or a Stanton, this is the sort of the power, because I could a swing and miss was I sort of preyed on the hitter's desire to hit the ball a long way. They want to swing a long way. But if you're not really, I always like a Darnell Sweeney, those kind of guys. Like I always really struggled. Eric Young Jr., those kind that were really just kind of slap hitters. Yeah, and that's really what a lot of that league is. And the same is honestly true for the pitchers as well as the hitters. They bring over the big boppers, right?
Gotcha.
Swing and miss guys that hit homers. Like I had a buddy of mine, Ernesto Mejia, who was he was from Venezuela, huge, 6'6", 240, and was a first baseman behind Freeman. But they had him locked up on the roster for 3 years. The Braves did. I mean, he was on the Major League roster for 3 years, but he went over to Japan. They finally let him go. He went over to Japan and led the league in homers for like 5 years, 6 years. I mean, he was just. But I mean, that's the type of guy they went and got.
Yeah.
Because they had plenty of guys that could slap hit and all this other stuff. So I don't know that I would have done that well over there. So I kind of was like, no. Let's keep it here.
Now, was this whenever you had the interest, was this towards the end of your career or at the beginning of your career?
Kind of right when you're in that major league. They want those guys that were kind of like me, just getting there, just breaking into the big leagues, but not established veterans.
Yeah.
Because that's the time to get them.
Yeah, because maybe you can sway them, but once you put your cleats, your spikes in the clay of a Major League Baseball field, it's like, how am I ever going to lead this?
Money
right?
talks, I'll tell you that. Yeah, that's what they do. I mean, that's what they do.
Yeah.
So it's a money game at that point.
You were saying those guys play really hard. Is it like the minor leagues here, like I say, like maybe like hockey, where the guys are trying to make a name for themselves because they want to go to the next level? So are they just playing like really hard because it's Dominican and like there's like a good fan base and a good following, or is it because they are trying to get to that next level too?
It's a little bit of both. Let me tell you some from the different perspectives of, and I'm not saying Americans don't, but the respect that they give and the passion they play, like to be playing for their home city or town. I mean, it's crazy. I had a friend of mine who was played with the San Francisco Giants for a little while, and he was a center fielder. But we played together in Dominican, and he told me it would be more special to play for the Águilas, which is who I went and played for in Santiago. Mm-hmm. It would be because that was his hometown, and his dad played for him. Then when he made his major league debut.
Wow.
I mean, think about that. I mean, it's crazy. So I was like, wow. So that's the sort of the intensity they bring to those areas.
So there's no way, like a guy like Ronald Acuna Jr., who plays Winter League every year in Venezuela, he's not going to stop doing that because of how much it means to him, and not just that, but what it also means to his family.
Dude, of course. There's a lot of like Manny Ramirez still play. I mean, those guys. I mean, I'm telling you, man, it's crazy.
That's awesome.
It is awesome.
And I would love to go to it. You've got me really excited because I've seen Kitty Powers and stuff.
Yeah.
You see that. But I would love to get to a game down there.
It's fun, man. I mean, it is a different style. But watch the World Baseball Classic. It's a lot of fun. I mean, it's intense.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But I'm sure,
I have a funny story.
Like World Cup soccer.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, am I allowed to tell my stories?
Yes.
So I actually ended up getting the win, by the way.
Okay,
but I did blow the game.
All right.
I did blow the game first.
The win. There we go.
But it wasn't, in my opinion, of course, this is that whole deal, which is, the individualized game. But I came in with runners on base. My first appearance in the Dominican. I came in to the game with runners on base, second and third. And I faced an import. Kelly was his last name, played for the Rays. I forget his first name. But anyways, he's a big leaguer. Breaks his bat, single. Guy scores.
All right.
Now, 2 punches and a pop out. So 1 run scores, ties the game. William Rosario, catcher for the Rockies for a long time, hits the game-winning homer. Right. The next morning, I go to have breakfast in the resort, and the lady says something to me in Spanish. I kind of laugh. Yeah, it's funny. And one of the guys sitting next to me said, you don't know what this, she's our bilingual teammate. So you don't know what she said. Like, no. And she said she wanted to kill you for letting up the game tying run last night. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, yeah, but we won. Like,
doesn't matter.
I started checking my eggs a little better.
Yeah, I was about to say.
That's how you know she had money on the spread right there.
That's exactly right. Yeah. But that's how intense. I mean, that's how intense it is. They're watching on TV if they're not at the game. I mean, it's a big league deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
I was like, whoa. That's why I said it was easy recognizable. I had really long hair and I was like, that wasn't me.
Yeah. Did you download Babbel after that? Started learning a new language. So the A's are going to be playing in Sacramento. What do you think of that whole ordeal with the Oakland A's? Major League Baseball going to be playing in Sutter Health Park, a AAA ballpark that holds about 10.6 thousand people and can be enlarged into 14,000 with lawn chairs.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, what it feels like to me, and I don't really. Honestly, I don't want to make light of it because I feel bad for the guys that are playing there. That's not fun. It's really not fun. And they're going to go on the road and get these great experiences at these huge stadiums, and then they're going to go home, and it's just going to. And that's where you play half the games. And So, and then all the people coming in, it's not a fun situation. But it kind of feels like Major League, the movie.
The movie.
Like the owners like trying. They're trying to go to another stadium. It's another city, so they're like trying to lose every game. They've already done all that. I guess they've agreed to it with Vegas, right?
Yeah.
But this is like 2028.
Yeah, 2028.
So they're going to do this for
3 years.
That's crazy to me. To me, it's unacceptable.
And
to me, it's unacceptable.
Another thing because I don't think that's an element that many people think of is the players who are playing in these games and the facilities that they have to deal with now. And then you take that to a step further kind of in the offseason. How are you going to get free agents to come play for your franchise? Not that they're doing that anyways, but if they just got a wild hair and wanted to sign someone, how do you sign anyone?
It happened in the NFL with the Rams over in L.A.
Where did they
played in a soccer stadium for a little while.
Yeah, but they were still in a decent facility.
But I mean, it's a way smaller stadium, not what the players are used to. It's kind of this
8 games compared to 81 games. Apples to
and for
oranges.
3 years though.
Yeah, the Rams was a situation when a 3-year deal either.
It was a couple of years. I mean, it's like apples to pears.
It's close.
Or like Gala apples to like Granny Smith apples or something like that, man. I mean, it's comparable.
It's just I just feel bad for the guys, but I played in that stadium a bunch. It's not a terrible stadium. It's just not big. It's not a big league stadium, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you make it to the bigs, like there's just nothing like the bigs anymore. I'm sure, right? Unless you got third deck syndrome.
That's exactly right. Yeah, then you kind of go back into something you're used to. But like I said, and then all the amenities that come along with being in the big leagues, right? You get the private chefs, you're making all the food. You have a huge staff in the bigs, because it's way bigger staff than you would have for the minor leagues, right? So just doing all the laundry, just the clubbies, like you have way more clubbies, travel secretaries. You have all these. I mean, it's way bigger of an operation as you could imagine,
right? In
the big leagues. So I know it's just I don't know. It will just like you said. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, right? Because you say, all these guys are prima donnas. Like they go play in, a 14,000 capacity stadium that's not going to kill them. But, I mean, you do. It's a big...
Would anything be better? Because it's smaller in that, like, quaint setting or anything that, that's going on?
Team building all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. And I like, truthfully, I'm not sure playing in an empty Coliseum was any better. But it just, like I said.
They had raccoons watching them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But nothing says like, man, we're on the worst team in the league as like, hey, you're going to play your games at AAA Stadium.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
I can't, that would be a compliment to say it was half empty, but.
Arizona Coyotes.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing in Arizona State's hockey facility.
That's terrible.
Yeah, and it's weird when you turn the game on. You off rip, you're just like, whoa,
this is different.
This is different, and it'll be the same thing AAA wise. I mean, because again, this is not any shade on the facility in and of itself. It's the fact that the Oakland Athletics, or whatever they're going to be called at that point in time, are doing this. And I hate it for the city of Oakland, man. The longer that we get into this whole thing, I feel two ways about it to some extent, right? I hate it for the city of Oakland because it does seem like the people there really want that team to remain there. However, on the flip side, I wish like maybe show up more for the games, and show that you want it, because we're seeing the same situation down here in Tampa without the threat of them leaving right now, but who knows what could happen in the future.
Yeah.
You've got a team who's putting out, maybe not having any superstars, but they're putting out a quality product year in and year out, at least vying for the American League East, and you can't get anyone down there to support their fans or to support the team.
It is a little bit frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, as a baseball player, is there a difference in those when you guys are in the games, right? And you start out the season, I'm sure that the attendance is very nice in your day games when you start out, but then as you get a little closer to them dog days, what's that difference when the atmosphere is not a lot of people?
It's way different. It's hard to explain, really, but the energy that you feel off of a huge crowd is pretty insane. And it can, in my opinion, it can enhance moments. It can enhance moments. Just people are feeling the moment, the energy, the crowd. When nobody's there, man, that's like playing. The backfields in spring training.
Yeah.
It's just terrible. Like your velo is automatically going to go up when you get in the stadium, just from an adrenaline.
Yeah.
So you're automatically going to be a little faster, or whatever. Just because, like I said, in the back, when nobody's there, the intensity is really low. Now, in those moments, you have to be able to just tell yourself. Like if I'm an Oakland A's player, like if I'm JJ, of course he's just a sharp guy, went to Vanderbilt, great guy, good, humble, fantastic. But you got to tell yourself, hey, these matter.
Yeah.
It's easy to get in there and go, these games don't matter.
Yeah.
No, dude. For your numbers and for what you're trying to do in your career, these games matter. I used to tell myself all the time, in the minor leagues, we had those educational days. When school's in, one or two times before the summer, you play at 11 a.m. and they bring a field trip in for like a couple schools.
Yeah.
Well, you got to be there at 8. Games at 11, and nobody wants to be there from the player standpoint.
Yeah.
And you got to tell yourself, no, man. When I get out there, if I get out there today, it matters. I can't give up 6 runs in the third of an inning today. That's just going to go on my stat line.
Yeah.
And so if I'm JJ, I'm going to Sacramento, but I still got to be ready to play, which he will be. But you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, 100%.
When there's 50,000 people there, you don't got to remind yourself the game matters.
Yeah. It's the same thing and coaches say this all the time, but what you do in practice, how you're preparing in practice is exactly how you're going to get out there during the actual game time. Like for shortstops, if you're not diving in practice, you can say all you want, I'll dive for it in the game. All right, you might dive for it, but your effort that you put forth in practice is going to get you a little bit closer to actually making that play in the game, and I'm sure that it's exactly the same when you're pitching as well.
Couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Like I said, it's easy to just kind of, say, I'll flip the switch. I can flip the switch when the time comes. Can't do it.
That is a rarity even for football teams. We talk about all that all the time. Oh, they can flip that switch, and then when it comes time for that moment, the flip, in fact, was not switched. You guys have been riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Really thankful for Jay Chapman coming in and talking some baseball with us. For Tyler Bishop, Caveman Rick, I'm David Hayes. We're the Afternoon Underdogs. Just remember, Jesus loves you, so do I. Y'all have a great day.
Who's that?
What's that?
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. This is Braves Country.